Hi guys, welcome to Unit 8, Day 2. Hope you guys are having a great day. The weekly objective is the same as it was for Day 1. If you would like to read that, feel free to pause the video. So we're going to be comparing the attributes to the following equations. So we have intercept form, standard form, and vertex form. So starting with the intercept form. So you can either do this by just looking at it. If you were to do the intercept form, you will be able to find the x intercepts, as well as the y-intercept and the axis of symmetry. But an easier way to do it is if you type this into decimals and just analyze the graph, you'll be able to find everything: the axis of symmetry, the vertex, the roots, the x-intercepts, which is all the same thing. It's easier to see the domain, the range, and whatnot. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to go ahead and type this into decimals, and I suggest you do the same, and let's see if we get the same thing. All right, guys, so starting with the y-intercept. So whenever I type this into decimals, I see that the y-intercept, which is where the graph crosses the y-axis, is at the point 0, comma, -6. Okay. Now remember, now we're going to find rocks. So you guys should remember what rock stands for now. Remember, it's a mnemonic. It means roots, zeros, x-intercept, and solutions, which they all mean the same thing. So that's where we're gonna find the x-intercept, which is where the graph crosses the x-axis. So it's gonna be at 2 points. So the 2 points that I see on my graph is -3, comma 0, and the other point is 1, comma 0. Okay, so hopefully you got that too. The vertex, remember, the vertex is the point where the graph bends. So I see that, or wherever is symmetrical, whenever you cut it. So the vertex for me is at -1, comma -8. And then we have to figure out if it's a maximum or a minimum. So if you look at the vertex is at the bottom. That means, and it's up and the graph is opening upwards, is a regular U. So that means that this is going to be a minimum. Okay. Now to find the axis of symmetry. So the axis of symmetry. Remember, the vertex helps you find that. Remember, axis means x is. So x is equal to what? Just look at the x value of the vertex. The x value is at -1. Or if you're a visual person, cut the graph in half and see where the x value is whenever it has a symmetry. All right, and then for domain is always all real numbers. Okay, we should have that engraved by now. So all real numbers. And then for the range, remember, the vertex also helps you find the range. So we should know that range is y. If you look at the y value of the vertex is at -8. Now, that graph is opening upwards. That means that the y values are getting bigger. So it's going to be y is greater than or equal to -8. And if you're a visual person, you can also just read the graph from bottom to top and then see the first point where it touches the graph, and then see if the values are getting bigger or smaller as it's moving up. All right, for the next one, I'm going to go ahead and type this into decimals. So go ahead and pause the video and do the same. All right, guys, I just finished typing it in. We're going to go ahead and get started with the y-intercept. So again, the y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. So for me, it's crossing at 0, comma -6. And then now we're going to find the roots. So roots or rocks. This is the mnemonic, which stands for roots, zeros, x-intercept, and solutions. It's all the same thing. So the x-intercepts that I got, which is where it crosses the x-axis, is at -3, comma 0, and 1 comma 0. Okay, now to find the vertex, you have to look at either the highest or the lowest point of the graph where it bends. So it's for this one, it looks like it's going to be at the bottom, and it's at -1 comma -8. And then is it a max or a min? Well, the vertex was at the bottom, and this is opening upwards. So that means that this is going to be minimum. Okay. All right. Now to find the axis of symmetry. I'm going to put it over here. Axis of symmetry. Remember, axis, x is. So x is equal to, look at the vertex. What's the vertex? What's the x value of the vertex? Is that -1? So it's just -1. Or you can just look at the graph and see what the x value is whenever you whenever you have the symmetry. And then domain, I'm not going to write this down because I ran out of space. Or actually, can I? Oh, yeah, I can. Domain is going to be all real numbers. All real numbers. And then my range is y. And then remember, the vertex, look at the y value for the vertex is at -8. And then since this is opening upwards, that means that this is greater than or equal to -8. What do you notice about these two that we just did? They have the same everything. They have the same y-intercept. They have the same roots. They have the same vertex, minimum, everything. Everything is identical, right? That means because one of them is in intercept form or factored form, and the other one is in standard form. Now, they went from intercept form to standard form, and you can do vice versa, okay? So these two equations mean the same thing. They just look a little different. But if you were to solve for it, it's exactly the same thing. Okay, so I hope you guys noticed that, and just keep that in mind. Okay, you can go from one equation to the other equation. All right, moving on to the last one. So let's go ahead and type this one into decimal. So we have y equals -1/2 parentheses x plus 4 squared minus 3. All right, so starting with the y-intercept. Oh, wait, that's kind of hard to see. Let me change the color. Let's do black. The y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. And for me, is at 0, -11. Now we're going to find rocks. Remember, rocks stands for roots, zeros, x-intercept, and solution, which they're all the same thing. So let's see where it crosses the x-axis. Well, this graph actually doesn't cross the x-axis, so it doesn't have any x-intercepts. Okay, so that's fine. Just put NA for not applicable. Let's find the vertex. The vertex is either the highest or the lowest point where the graph ends. So for me, it looks like it's going to be the highest, which is going to be at -4, -3. And then since this is the vertex is at the top and this is opening downwards, this is going to be a maximum. Okay. Now we're going to find the axis of symmetry. So remember, axis means x is. So x is equal to what? Just look at the vertex. What's the x value of that vertex? -4. Or if you like to be a visual person, just look at cut the graph in half and look at the x value. That'll be your axis of symmetry. All right, what else do we need to find? We need to find the domain. Domain is all real numbers. It's so hard to write on this. All real numbers. And then the range, remember, the vertex helps you find the axis of symmetry as well as the range. So y, And then the y value of that vertex is at -3. And since it's opening downwards, it's going to be less than or equal to -3. Okay? Or if you're a visual person, if you read the graph from bottom to top, the top point is at -3, and then the graph is going down. So that means that the y values are getting smaller. Okay? All right. So now we're going to be learning whenever they give you a vertex and they give you a point, you have to find the vertex equation and then you have to convert it into standard form. So let's go ahead and do that. So whenever they give you the vertex, well, first of all, you need to know what the general vertex equation looks like. So let's go ahead and write that down. So that's going to be y equals a parentheses x minus h squared plus k. Okay, and then we're going to plug in what we know. So we know that the vertex is 1 comma -4. And this is my h and this is my k. Remember, the h is the opposite. And so now we're going to plug it in. So we have y equals, so let me get a little more comfortable. So y equals a parentheses x minus my h. Well, my h is a 1, but remember, we do the opposite. So it's going to be, in this case, -1 parentheses squared plus k. My k stays the same. So this is a -4. So I'm going to take off that plus and do -4 because my k is a -4. Now, this isn't quite the vertex form because we still need to know what a is. So what other information do they give me? They give me what the point is. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in this point right here, x comma y, plug it into here. So my y, I'm going to substitute. My y is 5. So instead of putting y, I'm going to put 5. And then I'm trying to find what a is. So I'm going to leave that there. My x value is 4. And then I'm going to rewrite everything else. So I get that a is equal to, 5 is equal to a parentheses. 4 minus 1, well, that's just 3 squared minus 4. And then I get that 5 equals a, 3 times 3 is 9 minus 4. And I'm going to rewrite this as 5 equals 9a minus 4. And now I just solve. I solve for a, right? I'm going to put a box around that. I'm going to move that that minus 4 by doing the opposite, which is plus 4. So plus 4 here, plus 4 here. These go away, and 5 plus 4 is 9, so it is equal to 9a. And now this is multiplication, so I do the opposite, which is divide. I'm going to divide by 9 on both sides. So I get that a is equal to 1. So now I can plug it in. I have that y equals 1 parentheses x minus 1 close parentheses squared minus 4. And this is my vertex form equation. But then they're asking me to convert it into standard form. So, oh, I ran out of space. I think I can make it fit. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and simplify this a little bit more. So we knew that x minus 1 squared is the same thing as x minus 1 times x minus 1. So we're going to go ahead and bring down that minus 4 over here. And then the 1, well, that 1 is just invisible. We don't really have to write down the 1, right? So now we're going to go ahead and distribute. So x times x is going to be x squared. And then x times -1, well, that's -1x or just -x. And then -1 times x, well, that's -x. And lastly, -1 times -1 is +1. It's going to be +1. And then we're going to bring down that -4. We didn't distribute that -4 because it wasn't inside the parentheses, right? And this is all equal to y. So now we just combine like terms. What two things can I combine here that they're similar? Well, these x's right here, right? And then also I'm going to circle the 1 and the -4. So I'm going to have y is equal to x squared. And then negative x minus x. Well, that's -1 and then a 1 right here. So -1 minus 1 is -2. And then we have our x, so -2x. And then 1 minus 4, well, that's just going to be -3. And this is what my standard form looks like. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to leave the last one for you guys to do. Hopefully that made some sense. If not, feel free to email me or message your teacher. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's day 2 for you. Y'all have a great day.